3, 2, 1. The iRacing Today radio show. Start now.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome into the iRacing Today radio show for today, which happens to be April the 21st, 2015. My name is Trevor Cameron, and I am your host. As always, there was once a coup that was going to determine that I was not going to be the host, but I squashed that with my vast military might. Leading said coup was my co-host, Mr. Chad Dalton. And what do you have to say for yourself, Chad?
I had nothing to do with this.
Oh, that's what they all say after, military coups that don't succeed. They're all like, yeah, no, man, I was on your side the whole time. I mean,
I was.
But welcome into the 95th episode of the iRacing Today radio show, which still, to this day, amazes the crap out of me. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We do really, really appreciate it. So this week we've got a show going on here. Not a lot happening. It's a kind of a weird show. We got some stories for sure, but not a lot of racing stuff going on this week as far as news and whatnot. But we got a couple things to cover off, and we'll talk about those. And then we have a little bit of experience stuff. Mine are definitely a bit out there, but they are racing related, and actually got a little bit of fan feedback that that will feed into my story stuff as well. And Chad's got a few things to mention as well, but I think he's mostly excited about what's happening this weekend, and we'll talk about that as well. So anyway, of course, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We love you guys. I mean, in an internet best friends sort of way. That's the way we love you guys. You're all our internet best friends because it's apparently Internet Best Friend Day. And that's ridiculous. but it makes a good hashtag, I guess. Yeah, but anyway, moving into our news for the week. So don't expect a long, extended show, but I am going to be telling a story, so you never know how long that, where that will take us. But what's our first news item here? We got like the most important news of the week, really.
That's hashtag fundraises.
Ooh, hashtag fun.
Of course.
Will it be hashtag fundraises or hashtag
IRTRS fundraises?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful. But we do need a hashtag because everything
Let's
important.
Let's go with hashtag fundraises.
Yeah, because everything's... So right now, I'm sure Scott's listening in and, ready to create a hashtag because he's always a man ready to create a hashtag. So hashtag fundraises and Andy make hashtag fire Trevor. Because, that's how you roll.
Hasn't he already done that? Of course, though, this weekend. Do I need to say it one more time?
This weekend? I was going to go Sunday, except for it's Saturday, so that doesn't count.
Well, it could be Sunday for some people.
True.
But, of course, is our third.
Yes.
I keep wanting to say annual, but Trevor got mad at me the last time I did that, so... We'll just go with the third.
I was going to say, because I couldn't even tell you when we actually did the last two, like the month. So, I mean, it's not like it's really an
Okay, so the first one happened in, November.
Okay.
A couple years ago. And then the next one happened in August. And now this one's in April. So we're kind of sporadic on how we do this. But anyways, it's this Saturday or Sunday for some of you. But it's April 25th. We're going to throw up the first room for a 30-minute practice session at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, or 2100 GMT. Of course, you'll have to figure out where that is in your time zone, but we'll throw that practice session up. The first race is Legends Cars at USA. And by the way, several people have asked, and I just wanted to clarify this, since we're on the week of, hopefully people will be getting some practice in. I know I won't be.
Wait, what? That seems wrong.
I just threw that out there. No, but Lakeland is, I think, the name of the setup in iRacing. And
Oh,
some people
really?
were confused by that. USA Speedway is in Lakeland, or
Hmm.
was, I should say, in Lakeland, Florida. So, I'm not sure why,
Why would
but
that's dumb? Why would they do
yeah,
that?
I don't
iRacing,
know.
come on, get your house together here. Come on.
Yes. So in case you go out to run some practice laps and you say, "Oh my gosh, where's the USA set up?" It could be under Lakeland. So there you go.
All right.
Um, but that'll be 50 laps. Cautions will be on. Yeah, we've been through this for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Afterwards, there will be another session that goes up that will have a 30-minute practice session as well. In anticipation that the first race will only last for about 30 to 40 minutes maximum, I would think. Um, we'll probably see the second race launch. If so, this is for those of you that may only make it to the second race and can't make the first race. I would anticipate that I would probably launch the second room around 6:15 p.m. Eastern time, which would be 22:15 GMT. And then about 30 minutes after that, the race would qualify and go green.
Hmm.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking, just to make sure that we get out of the first race in quick enough time in case, it were to go really long. If for some reason we got out of there much earlier than I anticipated, I'll go ahead and throw the second room up 15 minutes earlier, so at 6 p.m. Eastern, 2200. But I don't know if that will happen.
Right.
We'll see. So that's our races, and of course Cadillac at Summit Point. If I didn't mention that, is the road course race, and that's the second race, and that'll be a 30-minute timed event.
And then we'll do some sort of bonus fun race, probably involving Monza and cars that should never go to Monza.
Yes.
And I'll have a hard deadline myself of 8 o'clock Eastern time. I will have to be off the computer because my wife has to go into the church for family movie night. So, at some point in time, if it gets to about 5 minutes to the top of that hour and we're doing our fun race, I'm going to crash as spectacularly as possible in the bonus race. So,
Cool. That'll be neat. Hopefully, are you going to stream all of this, by the way?
that is my intention, yes. I'm going to put up a stream of the whole thing because, hey, fun race. I did it last
Yeah.
year and everybody enjoyed it. And, it gives everybody an idea. It's like, hey, look at all those cool people racing together. They're so friendly and helpful and having such a great time. I don't know what this iRacing thing is, but I need to join that and I need to listen to that podcast. Wow, Trevor's handsome. I mean, their words, not mine. I mean, I'm just saying what's going to happen. That's all. I mean,
Wow.
you got nothing to
Okay.
say to that one, do you? Ha ha.
Well, I could say a bunch of things, but yeah.
A bunch of things involving little short dude with a beard.
Yes. I won't be streaming it. I'll just be there racing and having a good time. So, yeah. Anyways, that's cool. So hopefully most of you guys and gals can come beat us.
Yeah. And have some fun with us. I mean, I'm sure we'll have some familiar faces that have joined us on the previous excursions, and I'm sure a lot of them will come from the UK and Australia for some reason because that's where the base of our fan base seems to be, which still is weird, but cool, all at the same time.
Yes. And to clarify one more time, we're running the main course at Summit Point.
Yes.
So, and yeah.
Correct. So that's so make sure everybody joins us for that, and of course we'll have we'll tweet out when we're getting ready to get started. So in case you guys forget and you're sitting there going, "Oh, I'm just enjoying my Saturday with my family," just checking Twitter. Holy crap! I got to get on there right now. So
Run!
just
All right,
drop.
kids, here's the plan. You're going to turn the computer on for me. I got to sit down in the seat. Wife, you're going to make me a drink. Let's go.
It's like, okay, 6-year-old son, you are now in charge of the 4-year-old daughter. I don't care if that doesn't make sense. I gotta go race with Chad and Trevor because, Dad's been looking forward to this. For the record, the iRacing Today radio show does not recommend abandoning your children in order to race. or play any sort of entertainment for that matter, or really for any matter, please don't abandon your children, especially in the name of us, because then everybody loses. We feel bad, you feel bad. Cops come and take your kids away, and then you'd be all like, Chad and Trevor, as you're getting dragged off, and that never goes good.
And then you're like, please, if you're going to put me in jail, can I just have a podcast every week, please?
I just need my iPod.
That's all I need. I promise I won't break out of jail with it.
Yeah, I won't use it for anything but listening to podcasts. See, you're already thinking you're in jail. You're looking at your iPod. It's like, really? Can I bring this in?
That's not even close to being my iPod.
I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. You should know that by now.
Obviously. So you should read the next news item.
I should, and that involves that they have given us a pretty picture. A 3D render of the Aston Martin DBR9, which is apparently a GT1 car. I don't know what any of that means. I know I race GT3 stuff, and that is BMW. So that's either like 2 steps better or 2 steps worse, but I've never heard of a GT5, so it's got to be better. I'm so uncultured.
Yes.
But we'll put a link to that in the show notes, and that is over, of course, on the forums. And other than looking like it drove through a mud puddle, because it's not they haven't put any of the textures on it. Like looking at the 3D renders of these cars that they make. Like, I mean, we get in them, we race, everything kind of happens so fast, and you're doing all the stuff. But if you actually stop and look, like the level of detail is just amazing. Just the indents and the lines of the car and stuff just looks cool. Now, not a car aficionado. Is that a word? It should be a word. Myself,
We're making it up.
Why not? I mean, I wanted to say aficionado, but that seems wrong. I mean, I think that's somebody who's aficionado of fan fiction. Don't know. But at any event, this looks a lot like the BMW. Maybe that's just my ignorance. I don't know. But
Maybe you just copied the BMW.
And I'm sure I just made everybody on the internet explode who is Aston Martin fans and are going, are waiting for their car. But
Hashtag fire Trevor.
Hashtag ignorance. But anyway, it does look quite cool, and I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to it. And it's, again, one of those things where it is a new manufacturer, a new partner with the service. So that is always awesome, because they can't all drive Toyota, Chevys, and Fords. I know that's not true, because they got the other cars in the road course and stuff like that. But anyway, it's always good when they have extra manufacturers and partners. So good on them, and it looks purty. Can't wait to actually put textures on it so it'll look even purtier. And it has a windshield wiper right in the middle of that car, and it's fully rendered in that 3D thing. So weather effects coming soon to iRacing confirmed.
Hashtag rumor starter.
But that's about it for news this week. Not a lot. Not a lot going on in the world of
Been pretty
iRacing.
slow lately.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in that. The season started. So they got the main build out. Is it really week 6?
Yep.
Holy crap! So we're halfway through the season. Man,
Pretty much.
that is
I haven't raced anything.
wow. Well, I've done my Xfinity stuff, although unfortunately I did not get a chance to do Bristol. I was very sad about that, but that was due to my weekend away, and I didn't get a chance to do it beforehand. But we'll get to that in a minute when we get to our experiences. And now our experiences.
So, what did you do?
But I did try to get a Bristol race in on Sunday night. Was my last opportunity, because we came home from our weekend away. In case you missed it last week, me and my wife were away for our 13th wedding anniversary. We went away to a cabin in the woods, like not the kind of cabin in the woods where people are trying to murder you, or the movie Cabin in the Woods, which had to do with a reality show / demon thing, which was really weird, but a good movie. But a cabin in the woods that is secluded and quiet and peaceful. So we got home midday Sunday, so my one opportunity to get a race in was the 9 o'clock my time Sunday evening. I jumped on, I did a few practice laps. My lap times were decent enough compared to what everybody else was doing. and waited for the race, and only 4 people signed up, so it didn't go official, so I never got my race in. So, sadly, my Bristol race-winning pedals did not get a chance to take me on to victory. Although I should have just raced the non-official race and see if I could have won, because there were so few of us, and maybe I could have won because everybody else would quit out and I'd be all like, I won this thing! Which would not constitute a boom confetti moment, because that does not meet the spirit of the award of the boom confetti, which is behind me here.
This reminds me, you haven't had any more dreams of me wrecking people, correct?
No, sir, I have not.
Good. Phew. Gotta protect my reputation here.
Just that one time. That was it. Dream analysis on the iRacing Today radio show.
Why did you dream about this?
I dreamed about golf.
My experiences are very similar to Trevor's in the fact that all I did was practice, and the race I tried to do didn't go official. I actually tried to participate in that new ISMA, I think it is called, series that has like the HBD and the Daytona prototype, or the Riley prototype, my apologies. And let's see, I think it has the 4GT maybe, and some other car that I can't remember. But, anywho, I've always liked the Daytona prototype, so I thought, what the heck, let's just try and jump in that and see if I can get a race. And they were at Silverstone last week, which is also a track that I've never really spent much time at on iRacing, but I've spent quite a lot of time on a Formula One game that I owned several years ago, which I don't remember the name of. But so I knew the layout at least pretty well, although it was a bit different than I remember. But I still picked it up pretty quickly, and actually tried to do the race on Thursday last week. Didn't go official. The tricky part with that series is that you need 10 people for it to go official, which is strange. In case you're unaware, some road course series, all the road course series are different, I've found. Some of them you need 6 people for something to go official. The V8 car is like that. Whereas some series you need 8 cars for the thing to go official. And then other series, like this IMSA, you need 10, which is stupid. But anyways.
Now, is that covered in the sporting code? Because I remember there is a section in there that actually mentions about, the rules when it comes to official races going official and all that stuff. Is that in there? I'm curious, because I thought it was just like kind of a one, what do you call it? A one size fits all kind of thing. Like, this style of race is this many, and on oval, and this is that, is what I thought it was. And I would bring up the sporting code right now, except for it's apparently a pop-up, and a pop-up was just blocked, so that's exciting.
It'll probably pop up over top of me when you get it unblocked.
Oh, it didn't. It popped up over here. But I'm not going to read through this. I was just kind of curious, because I didn't realize that there was a difference in the various road series as far as the minimum requirements. So that is something to watch out for. How did you know? Where did you find the information that told you that this race needs this many people to go official?
In the forums, because there's somebody every week in each road series that puts up a forum post about, hey, this is where we're racing this week. Here's the stuff you need to know. And it said that you needed 10 to 54 drivers for the IMSA series. I spoke incorrectly earlier, I believe. So that was a bit of a bummer, because I wasn't going to do the race, to be like, oh, look at me, I want to win. It was more of just for the fun experience factor of it, racing at Silverstone, which I've never done on iRacing, and still to this moment have not done. And also racing the Daytona prototype, which I have raced before, but I don't think I've raced officially. But, so that didn't happen. And then the funny thing is that I actually had the day off on Monday, which was yesterday at the time we were recording this, and could have raced, and it actually did go official in what would have been my time, the 4:45 race in the afternoon, evening, whatever. But a couple of things kept me from being there, but probably the biggest one was the fact that there was a massive thunderstorm going on in our area, and I don't normally like to race. I mean, I have surge protectors and all that stuff, but I don't normally like to race when there's a thunderstorm going on, especially when one is as crazy as that one was. So now my internet and my power were fine all throughout what would have been the duration of the race. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, dang it, I could have done it. But at the same time, you never know. So yeah, like I said, I tend to avoid racing if there's a thunderstorm.
Fair enough.
Just one of those things.
Gotcha.
The RCR was at Bristol last night, and I also did not race it because of a couple of reasons. Number one, I didn't feel like racing that late last night because I was pretty tired from the weekend that I had. And number two, it was still thunderstorming.
But it's Bristol, baby, and you love Bristol.
Yes. And because of my love for it is why I chose not to race last night.
I was gonna say, in actual fact, the when I went and did those practice laps in order to prepare for the potential race that did not happen, I believe, and just for the sake of timing and whatnot, that is the first time I think I've been out on that track since they redid it in the sim with the new black walls that they have at the actual track, because that's been a reasonably recent addition, and that looks wicked cool. Like racing on that track with those walls painted black looks really neat. So I was very disappointed I didn't get to race.
Now I have to have more safer barriers.
Side question. Did you survive that entire race? Because you went to the race, did you not?
Oh yeah, the real Bristol race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I survived it all.
You stayed the whole day, did you?
Well, I didn't stay the whole day. My uncle lives pretty close to the track, so we actually, when the race was supposed to start, which was of course 1 o'clock local time, we were still at the house because it was pouring down the rain. And then about an hour later, which this was strange to me, but I mean, they got it to work, but it's still strange to me. It stopped raining, and so we were all like, well, maybe we should go ahead and go over the track, because it only takes them 30, 40 minutes to dry the track with that new technology they have. So it's like, all right, it's going to be pretty quick. Well, where we park, it usually takes us about 40 minutes to walk to the track, which may sound like a lot, but you guys better believe we get out of there fast as a result. We do not sit in any kind of traffic ever, just for the record. So we started going over there, and as soon as we started driving, it was funny. It had not rained for a while, and we started driving over there, and it started pouring the rain. And so, I had Twitter on my phone and kept looking, and NASCAR kept saying, 10 minutes till fire your engines, 8 minutes till fire your engines. And I'm like, well, really? I mean, it's pouring the rain out here. And so I kept telling my dad and my uncle and all them, I was like, I guess they're going to try and do it. Maybe this storm that we're in will miss it. And the closer we got to the racetrack, the more, and I think I even tweeted at one point, I was like, I give them about 5 minutes if they start the race to run, however many laps. And that's about what they got. They pretty much had like a 10-minute window. They did those like 22 laps, and then it just poured. And that was the same storm that we had just been sitting in. And I was like, I don't know, maybe they're happy they started the race, but it seemed kind of pointless. But yeah, survived. After that, after it started raining again, I had watched the weather all morning, and I knew that it was going to be a long time. So we actually went back to my uncle's house, waited around until about 5:45, and this was before NASCAR ever announced, that they were going to start the race about 7 or so. And I told my dad, I was like, there's no more rain coming for at least 4 hours, so they're going to do the race, so we might as well just go back over there. And about the time we got into the track, they were like, yep, we're starting. We are like, sweet, timed that perfectly.
Cool.
So yeah, watched the rest of the race, which was a very good race, I might add. And had some wrecks, and some good race. That if you've never been to a race in person, television does crap for racing. I've always said that, yeah, it's great that we can watch all of our favorite races. Who cares what it is, Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, whatever. It's it never does anything. Like it shows you what's happening, but you can't see stuff like you can see when you're there.
Right.
Those guys and gal, on Sunday night were racing really hard, like all the time. And that's probably my dad and I were actually talking about it after the race. We were like, man, that's probably the hardest we've ever seen them race there, because it was just. I don't know if it's because it's very hard to pass or what, but I mean, you could tell that they were driving the car really hard into the turns and out of the turns. So that was pretty entertaining to watch, and it was a good race. And yeah, we got out of there, and then right after the race ended, and we were walking back to our car. We were probably, I don't know, point 0.2 miles from our car. We were almost there. It's like, all right, my dad literally looks at me and goes, well, I think we're going to avoid that storm coming. And I was like, we're not to the car yet.
Why did you
About
say that?
35 seconds later, big gust of wind, and then, I mean, dump truck of water. We got soaked. It was insane, but it was fun.
Question though, because I watched, and I'll get to this in a minute, but because I watched it slightly differently, what was the delay between when they were going to do the green white checker, but then they couldn't because it started to rain? How long did it actually take them to get the track back? Like, I don't know that.
Well, I was texting my friend Greg during that point, and they had lost turn 4 especially, but I think turn 3 too. The rest of the track looked fine. Now they still dried the rest of the track, but just in my eyes, they definitely lost turn 4, and I think that was the delay. Now I don't understand why they kept driving around the track. That part was confusing to me. Um, I think they should have done what they ended up doing, which was just parking them on pit road and drive and go.
Right.
But I don't know. NASCAR does stupid crap all the time, so I guess they decided to keep one up in themselves.
But how long did it take them to actually get like from the time they red flagged it to the time they actually went back out on the track? Because I don't have that as a period of time. Like there was time lost.
Uh, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a long period. Because I was looking at it, and when I was watching, it's like, all right, we're going to do a green white checker, and then I'm looking at the rain. It's like, why bother? Why not just call the race now? Because
Yeah, well, and
it's
that's kind
raining.
of what we were saying is because it started raining pretty hard. I don't know what TV showed, but it really did start raining pretty hard. And we were kind of thinking, okay, well, they should probably just call this. And I mean, what's 3 laps? I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the drivers, but it's like, we're doing this for 3 laps. And, uh, but yeah, then they had a nice window where it stopped raining and for about 30 minutes. And they got it all done. So
Cool.
it
I
was a
mean,
wild race.
and it was one of those things when, as I'm watching it, like it was so foreign to me being, trapped on the bottom. Because
Yeah.
old school Bristol, everybody was pushing everybody out from the bottom because that's where you want to be on the track. It's like, well, you don't want to get stuck down there, or else you're going to get freight train. It's like, but that's where you want to be because it's Bristol.
Nope.
But not anymore.
No.
But anyway, I
Not
was just curious
anymore.
about that because, you had a unique perspective on that because that was probably, 10 hours they took to get in that race. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from the time the race went green until the checker flag, it was 9.5 hours.
Wow. In the meantime, I've actually looked up, and Section 5.2 in the, 5.2.1 more specifically, in the sporting code states, and this clears things up, like exactly what you need to be. It says the minimum number of drivers for an official race will be determined by the competition board and will set, and I'm quoting here, and will set to 6 unless otherwise, period. So there you go. It will set to 6 unless it's not.
Good to know.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It will set to 6 unless otherwise. So there.
iRacing.
So now you know how many people you need to have an official race.
See, I misspoke on. I said IS or IASMA or something like that. Well, anyways, it's IMSA, and now I've gotten so much grief from that. I don't pay attention to the series that I race in. I just go race. I'm a driver, so quit yelling at me.
Who's yelling at you? You're
Scott, True Racer corrected me and said it was IMSA. But Scott is like in here making it all like it's a foreign concept to me. He goes, "It's IMSA." Quote, "I'm like in," and quote, "SA," like suh. Just help me.
where are you seeing this?
It's on my Twitter.
Oh, on your
In my
Twitter.
in my mentions.
Ah, okay. Because I'm looking at the chat room. It's like, I'm seeing none of this. You've gone crazy. I see there's just the one person just very politely just told you the real answer, and you're seeing all these people making fun of you. Maybe you have issues. That's what I'm thinking. But
Maybe I have self-esteem issues.
well, it's possible. I mean, everybody's making fun of you. Anyway, okay, so that was your attempts at getting into some racing on
yes, my race is going to be better this weekend because Fun Races and the Power Series is racing. So
there. And the
I'll
Power
be there for
Series
that.
is where?
Charlotte.
Ah,
It's their season finale, and I don't think that. I think that their championship is somewhat decided. It's their last race, so of their
okay.
current season. So, anyways, I'm gonna try and go in there and wreck John Hensley.
Because why wouldn't you? Internet
He's
Best
not
Friends
racing or
Day.
anything. Yeah. Hey, IBFF.
Oh, gross. IBFF. Oh, that's probably a thing, isn't it?
Probably is now that we have this hashtag.
Oh,
When I said it to John Hensley, I was being funny. I was not being serious.
that makes
Although
me
now
feel
he's
so
gonna
gross.
unfriend me.
IBFF.
Anywho, story time with Trevor.
Story time with Trevor. I didn't get a lot of track experience, other than, like I said, doing a little bit of practice for Bristol. That never happened. I'll be getting more practice in this week to make sure that I can race the legends around USA and, of course, Summit Point with the wondrous tracks, the wondrous track without walls. So that I'll just be cruising off into the fields. But what I did do was, and it's all kind of related around my trip to the woods with my wife for our anniversary trip. Now, there are two sides to this story. One is Trevor being stupid, and that is I made sure, like I sat down and I meticulously went through my PVR to ensure that because it was a big, race weekend. There was an Indy race, there was a Formula One race, and there was the NASCAR race at Bristol. It's like, all right. So I sat down. It was on my list, my to-do list before I left the house because we left Friday and we didn't come back till Sunday. It's like, okay, make sure the PVR is set up to tape all of this stuff. The qualifying at Bristol, the race, the qualifying for Formula One and the race, and, the Indy race as well. It's like, I want to make sure I get it all. So, I made sure everything was set and everything was great. Everything, I even double checked to make sure everything was set. Now, part of our trip when we go out there is we take some of our electronic stuff with us as well. All of which, and the cabin is also, it's an old cabin, although they've modernized it a little bit this time, we were very excited to see. But the electric in there is very outdated, and only half the plugs work. And we ran into that problem last year. It's like, all right, well, okay, well, where are we going to plug this in? So my wife had the wonderful and very smart idea to bring the power bar, that we had out in the garage where our electronics is plugged in. So it's like, okay, great idea. So I unplugged the power bar, put it in the bag with us, and, we went on our trip. And it wasn't until we were on our way home on Sunday afternoon that a thought occurred to me. Wait a second. My PVR was plugged into that power bar. Oh, no.
Nice.
So, and it's like, oh, wait, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was plugged into the wall because it's a little bit away from where that other stuff was plugged into. It's like, okay, maybe I'm okay. Because the kids never, called us to, or, asked, Uncle Vern, who was watching them, never said they didn't have access to the PVR because they watch stuff that we tape all the kids' programs and stuff. It's like, and I'm thinking to myself, it's like, you know what? if they couldn't watch their shows while I was gone, we would have heard about it. Vern would have texted us and said, "Hey, the PVR's not working. The kids can't watch their shows. Do you know what's wrong?" or something. But we didn't hear that. It's like, okay, we're fine, because we would have heard, we would have heard, we would have heard. So I walk into the house and I look at the cable box that wasn't the PVR itself, but the one in the main house, and I look, it's like, and there should be a little red light down there because it should have been taping, the Bristol race, or actually both the Bristol and the Indy race. I looked at the little red light, no little red light. And I go, look at recorded programs, like, unable to access PVR. And my heart sank. It's like, oh, why did I'm so stupid? It's like, and, Vern asks, it's like, oh, what's, what are you doing? It's like, the PVR wasn't hooked up because I took, unplugged it and I didn't tape my races. It's like, oh yeah, we noticed that it was kind of messed up, and I just turned on. It's like, why didn't you tell me? Because if you did, I would have said, oh crap, go plug it in. It's like, well, we just didn't think it was a big deal. It didn't work. It's like, no, it was the biggest of deals. So I was so depressed because I didn't get my races taped. So that was me being stupid. Now, through various internet means, I managed to watch both the Formula One race and the NASCAR race as well, which is why I didn't have a sense of time, because I watched somebody else who had taped it, made it available for me to watch, so I got to watch. It took 3 hours and 15 minutes, and all the time that didn't happen was just kind of cut out. So, so that was good. Now, I'm sure was probably slightly illegal, but technically I had the means to which to watch it legally, so I didn't feel very bad about it, because it was only my own stupidity that caused me to not be able to watch it. So, anyway. So I did manage to actually watch the Formula One race and the NASCAR race and the Indy race. When I plugged the PVR back in, they were on lap 34 of 80, so I caught the last half of that one. So, but, and the Formula One race was actually really good. It was. I'm glad that I caught it, because it was rather entertaining. Because, sure, it was still the same old Mercedes, dominating kind of show, but there was at least some, the competition between Ferrari and Mercedes seems to be still there, which is kind of cool to see. Because, anyway, Formula One stuff, watching one team dominate is boring, And watching another team compete with Mercedes is very exciting. And it was Kimi Räikkönen, so shut up, I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
No, it's leave me alone, I know what I'm doing.
Kimi's funny, and he's got other quotes, some of which are not suitable for normal consumption. Let's see. If I bring that up, everything's gonna get messed up, Chad, because I can't. So I don't know what you put in the chat thing there, but I can't, because if I do, your face will have to disappear. And I'm not willing.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not willing to do that to the people. I can't make half your face disappear.
It will. Well, then fine. I'll send it to you in another means of communication.
We have another means of communication.
Yes.
And whatever you do, it'll somehow end up on top of your face. So, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, not this way.
Oh, no. I'll find a way. There's always a way that no matter what I do, I open something out while we're doing the show on top of your face. Always the way. Ha. But anyway, so that was my PVR story. So that was me being stupid and, upset with myself. So now the other story had to do with going and driving, and I sent out. I'm
curious to hear this story.
Yes, and I sent out a rather cryptic tweet, I guess, which is see, now you're all like, check Twitter. Oh, okay, there we go. I was actually I should have brought up the tweet I actually sent out. I can actually probably do that pretty quick. Although I do say a lot of things on Twitter, so There we go. I sent out a cryptic tweet from the cabin that said, anybody have a story where you feel the car control you learned in iRacing helped you on the streets? And that has to do with our trip out, specifically out into the mountains, as it were. And that is the fact that there's a lot of wildlife out in the mountains out here in Alberta and British Columbia. And my wife had actually taken to counting what we had seen. We had seen 5 elk, and up to the point, we had seen 53 deer. Now, by the time we got close to the cabin, we were about 10 minutes away from the cabin when this happened. And we're about 10 minutes away from the cabin. It is now basically dark. We're on a road that's, I think the speed limit is 50 miles an hour on it. And it's kind of windy and twisty, and some of it's actually kind of off. You drive off and you're going to tumble down kind of a cliff kind of thing. Not a long cliff, but nobody wants to tumble off any bit of a cliff. We're driving the van at the time, not my Lexus. So as we round around this corner, Sonia, my wife, says, aha, 53, as 53, deer number 53, leaps in front of the van. Now, 53 wasn't the problem. The problem was 54, which was following 53 directly across, because 53 had gotten across our path completely and was clear of the road. 54 following, however, came right out in front of me. Now, I'd started to slow down a bit for 53. It's like, okay. Then 54 jumped directly in front of me, and it went to one of those times where time kind of slowed down. Like it just like you think people talk about it, that it does, and it totally did. And I remember thinking, I need to slow down as quickly as I can, because I was already starting to slow down, but I need to slow down a lot quicker, because that deer is real close, and I need to turn to the left. So immediately scanned around me. There's no cars in the oncoming lane. There's no cars behind me. Okay, we're clear there. I'm depressing the brake, but not enough to lock up the car because I don't want to lose control of it. So I'm applying as much brake as I can without locking up the brakes and losing control of the vehicle, turning left as much as I can without losing control of the vehicle, because remember, cliff, ditch, and I'm in a minivan, so it's not exactly agile, or I don't know. I mean, if I was to skid all of a sudden to the left and, and turn the wheel directly off hard, we could flip. And that would be bad. That would ruin the beginning of our weekend if all of a sudden, we're on our side, 4 hours from home.
Having a good time.
So as it resulted, I ended up just slightly off into the other lane, and had gotten the car slowed down to the point where when we made contact with the deer, because we did, by the time I had stopped, he was basically already on the side of the road, and like if I looked directly out the passenger side window, he was right beside us. So like I stopped just after we hit him, and we hit him so like I was probably down to about 5 miles an hour by the time I'd actually hit him. So I went down from about 50 to 5 in complete control of the vehicle, and we went back the next day, or actually on the way back home. And we went to the area where the incident happened. And I looked, there was no skid marks. There was no, it was as I remembered. I did not lock up the brakes, kept complete control of the vehicle. And I swear that is because of all the virtual accidents I've had to avoid during Carb Cup and various other races in iRacing, because, like I said, it was like instinct kicked in. Like I was pushing the brake down, but I didn't lock it up. Like I didn't panic. It was just like, oh, okay, I need to avoid this. A little bit of left, a little bit of brake, and then made slight contact. Probably, a minute of optional repairs in the pits in order to get us going again,
You're got wheel damage.
The deer was, I'm pretty sure the deer was fine. I mean, you hit animals and you expect, oh, okay, he's fine, and he just went off into the woods and died or something. But we made such slight contact with him that I'm pretty sure he woke up with a sore hip because we hit him in the butt. But I think he was fine. He left a little tuft of fur in our grill, so I had debris on the front grill, so we had to clear that off so we didn't overheat. And checking the next morning, like the hood is just slightly out of place, and that was the only damage to the van. So it was one of those things where, like, I will swear that it was because I had learned a bunch of some car control through all the virtual racing I do, that I was able to maintain control of that vehicle and avoid what could have been pretty crappy. You know,
Yeah.
so that was pretty fun. No, wait, not fun at all. It was pretty cool that we ended up having a not ending in a bad situation.
Now, if I may interrupt,
You may.
and I know that we've already got something to go along with this, so don't yell at me. I would like to stop at this point and challenge all of our listeners to send us in their virtual to real life experiences. So, like driving down the interstate or highway, whatever you want to call it, and something suddenly happens, instincts take over, and you miss whatever happened. Send us in your stories. And I know we already have a couple,
I have
but
a couple. Should we save those and see if we can collect some more before we read those and give them a couple weeks
could.
to collect? Why don't we do that?
Could.
Because we do
Or
actually
we could
have.
go ahead and read them and make people want to hear their name on the show.
Oh, all right. See,
See?
editing on the fly, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So Ash McConnell replied to me on Twitter and said maybe not iRacing, probably GPL, which is Grand Prix Legends for those who don't know, which was not exactly the precursor to iRacing, but it was another simulation made by the same people that made iRacing and the NASCAR games for the PC. He says, I got forced off the road by a truck I was overtaking and controlled it on the grass at 60 miles an hour. So the pass in the grass. Pulled a Tony Stewart, and Kyle Busch did that one too, didn't he? Driving through the grass at Daytona. I think that's the two names that come to my mind. I know Tony, and I think Kyle did it as well.
Yeah.
Another listener also gave us a comment. Jamie Byrne came in and said, it helped me when following a tractor trailer some distance behind a tire exploded. In an instant, I had large chunks of tires speeding toward me at 65 miles an hour, and some of them were at windscreen level. Obviously, probably one of our British listeners, because I'm pretty sure we don't call it windscreens over here. They were also spread across 3 lanes on the highway. I had the situational awareness to know I could move across to the breakdown lane, I'm guessing the shoulder is what I'm going to take that as, safely and avoid the flying pieces. It all took place in a split second. Some cars behind me were not so lucky, and the tires went straight into them. I'm convinced without my time on iRacing, I would have frozen and driven into the tires with a minimum of damage to my car and possible injury. So, somebody else, I swear, like that has got to be a common occurrence where people have,
Yeah.
got that instinct because, on iRacing, because there's no consequence, like we just do it. And it's, sometimes you mess it up, sometimes you don't. There's no real consequence other than ruining your race kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, I think I swear those instincts we learn are, are there. I mean, they're real. I mean, we are learning car control.
All the time we always sit here and we like put quotes around, when we talk about in real life, we always say that. Well, iRacing, while we are within a virtual world, our eyes are looking into computer screens in a virtual world, we are still in real life, no matter how you want to slice it. Like, I am literally sitting here right now with Trevor talking to you people out there listening on this show. This is real life. This is not virtual podcasting. And so, like, I, as Trevor said, I do believe that those instincts and whatever, the reaction time and stuff that we learn on iRacing does apply in real life because it is real life despite being virtual where there are no consequences. But so I'm a firm believer in it. So that's why I kind of wanted to challenge, you guys out there listening and girls, to send us in some, little stories that you may have had driving down the highway or going to the grocery store, that may have had a iRacing takeover moment from behind the wheel. I've actually got a couple, but one that I know that I will mention right now is I was driving down. It's not really a highway, but it's a 4-lane road, but it's kind of one of those going through town, so it's not really a highway. Um, but we're still going 40 miles an hour or so. So I am turning off to go to Best Buy because I love that store, and I'm getting ready to go in there, and the exit lane or the off ramp or whatever you want to call it is fairly lengthy at this particular red light because a lot of people are always turning there. That there's a ton of shopping places in this particular area. So I kind of fade over there and I'm just casually driving, and this is for me. I had a moment where I was like, triple screens. This is where this would come into play because the car that I had been following, who was doing a great job of driving up until this moment, um, after I got into the right lane, so picture me driving behind the guy. I get in the right lane. He's still in the lane that we were just in. And then he decides suddenly that he needs to be in that right lane too.
Hmm.
Well, I don't know if he checked his mirrors or anything because I didn't see, but he did not check his blind spot, which I don't know about where you guys live, but where I live, they teach you to look over your right-hand shoulder before turning into the right lane to, make sure that nobody's in your blind spot.
And you know what? And I know here nobody does that because like up
Yes.
here, like I swear, I watch people just like they're just head straight, looking. They'll look in their mirror and then just go. It's like
Yeah.
no, you turn
Hello?
and then you do a quick shoulder check and then you go because they're big spots where you can't see.
Yes. And I think that's what happened here because that guy just, I mean, not very quick. Like, he didn't just jolt over in the right lane. It was a nice, smooth transition to the right lane. But we were still going fairly fast. We were going 35, 40 miles an hour, which can, make a pretty good collision. And in the corner of my eye, and this is why I said triple screens, because I've trained my eyes to use that peripheral vision to where I just kind of, I don't focus on the left monitor or the right monitor. I'm always focusing on the middle monitor, but I see what's going on in those side monitors. And in this moment, I got in the right lane, was just casually driving, looking out the windshield, but on the left side of my vision over here, I saw him start to come over in the right lane. Now, had I have kept going at the speed that I was in, he would have hit me in the left front and kind of towards the driver's side door, and he would have hit me pretty good. We would have had one of those, collisions where you come together. But because I saw him start to come over, I just immediately hit the brakes. Didn't lock him up or nothing. I just got on the brakes, kind of similar to what Trevor was saying. No skid marks, no nothing like that. I I took care of my tires, took care of my car, but slowed down, and he got over in the lane, but never collided with me. It actually didn't even really come close to me. And that was one of those moments where, for me, I firmly believe, because of my instincts of watching and my situational awareness, is what I like to call it, knowing what's going on, even if I'm not directly looking at it, is what saved me from probably getting a pretty big dent in the side of my car.
Yeah, and actually, I had another one like that. Another situation that I think I may have even mentioned on the show before. I don't remember. But it was one of those things where I'm traveling in traffic. We're going at speed, and this is highway. And then all of a sudden everybody just stopped, like something happened, something, accordion effect. And all of a sudden everybody stopped. And I remember just casually, like in my mind, I swear it was, I'm pacing. Oh, somebody's done something dumb. And I just casually just turned the wheel to the right and just drove onto the shoulder and slowed down and I ended up stopped like beside the car, right by me. Something I would have plowed them. But, it was just like, oh, okay. I swear that my thought was, oh, these guys just don't know how to pace. I'll just get out of the way. Turn off. Because how often have we seen that? See, I mean, driving in an official series that has, full course yellows, like talking about oval racing, is great practice for casually just getting out of the way when people suddenly stop in front of you.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's like a simulator for that, I swear.
Yep. But yeah, I think us sim racers are pretty good road drivers.
I think so too. I mean, and great idea, Chad. I mean, I would love to hear you guys, any stories that you have that kind of relate to that, and we'll read them on the show in the next couple weeks, depending on how long it takes you guys to get on the ball and give us those stories. So we'll read some of those for you guys. Yeah, we're watching you. Come on, get it done. This isn't all about me and Chad. And by about me and Chad, I mean Chad writing out show notes and me saying words into a microphone, because that's how we roll.
I'm even writing show notes on the fly.
Excuse me. So anyway, that was my weekend when it comes to some adventures. So poor deer number 54. And it's funny, when we're on our way home, I just casually turned to my wife, because we were talking about it. And I said to her, so when you said it was 54 we hit, did you count the one that crossed in front of him as 53, or did you just forget that and all the excitement? She says, no, I remember it. That was 53, 54, thump. All right, just check it.
Thump.
That was a lot of deer. I mean, we were driving down the highway a bunch, and they were right on the side of the road, and every time I saw them, it's like, and we were driving, and it wasn't dark when we were starting, and it wasn't quite, it wasn't dusk yet, but it was not bright sunshine. And of course, all the grass out in the mountains and stuff, and out here is still kind of brown, and the deers are kind of brown. And they're bending down, eating the brown grass, and there was some of them we were right beside before we even saw them.
How many browns can you put into one sentence?
There was a lot of brown, man.
Trees are brown, branches are brown, birds are brown.
Oh, the leaves are brown, and the sky is gray. Aston Martin's gray and brown.
But anyways, I believe that concludes our experiences and our show.
It does. Nice tidy 1 hour here this week for you guys, but we'll have next week we'll hopefully have some stories from you guys to talk about, and we will have our fun races, of course, to discuss. So remember to come out on Saturday and have some fun with us. If you can't make it out to the racetrack, as they say, then check my Twitch feed, which will be Ratface Productions, of course, because I will be streaming those races unless something goes drastically wrong, but that is my intention. So check it out there if you can't be out on the track with us, and have some fun in the chat rooms and all that good stuff. So with all that being said, that'll about do it for this week. A big thanks to all of you out there for listening. Remember, the show is available for download on iTunes and Zune under the podcast section, where we would really appreciate a review to help us get the word out, because, believe it or not, there's some people on iRacing that aren't listening to our show, and that is a crime. That shit needs to be rectified right now.
Red Reddington gonna come hunt you down.
Oh, speaking of which, me and one thing that we did, I mentioned that I got my wife hooked on the Blacklist, and one thing we did on our weekend, it's one of those things, we're married 13 years, it's like, oh, romantic weekend. No, it's a weekend to spend time with your wife, or with each other, without kids underfoot. So one thing we did was we binge watched the rest of season 2 to get caught up. So we're actually all caught up now on and waiting for Thursday night so we can continue on, and my wife is totally hooked on the series. So
yes, I've gotten so many people that I know, I've you gotta watch this show, and now they're more addicted to it than I am. And I'm I knew about the show 8 months before it ever aired, and I was like, that's gonna be an awesome show. And from that moment forward, everybody I talk to, oh yeah, I love the Blacklist, it's the greatest show ever. So,
and while we're out
if you're
there
not watching it, you should.
You should. But definitely, I mean, it's not one of those shows to just kind of jump into, go back and watch
start
from the beginning. Or else nothing's, well, I guess as a procedural kind of thing, it'll make sense enough to enjoy it. But there are so many overarching storylines that you will miss out on that, you need to watch the whole thing.
Yes.
It's
I'm glad you're all caught up now, because I feel like I have to be so secretive. Andy's the only one I've been able to talk to about the show with, and it's like we can't talk in public because it ruins it for everybody else.
So we're caught up, and the PVR is, assuming I don't unplug it, is set up to tape it on Thursday night. So we'll continue to be up to date.
Tape it. You're not a real fan. Watch it live.
No, because I think it shows when the kids are still up, and besides, I'd like to watch it on PVR because then I can cut out the commercials.
True.
And it takes
But
less time to
during
watch
the commercials, I usually just get up and go refill the fuel.
it. Fair
Which is
enough.
food in this case.
Indeed. But anyway, we're all caught up on
Hey,
that. So.
go back to the ending.
Oh, yeah, right. We're ending a show, weren't we? Let's see. The show is also available on YouTube and Twitch at Ratface Productions and mirrored over on Chad's YouTube channel, which is It's Chadillac. You can check out the website for information, archives, links, and the polls you mentioned. With we're about, 3/4 of the way through the month, so make sure you go over and vote if you have not done so already, so you can discuss what you guys think, because the poll questions are all about you guys. So make sure you go over there and vote if you haven't done so already, and you can do that over at iRacingTodayRadio.com. You can like the show on Facebook by searching for the iRacing Today Radio Show over there on the Facebook. And, of course, follow us, most importantly, on Twitter, which is at RedFace. No, that's not true at all. At iRacing Today for myself. I actually do own at Ratface on Twitter, but I don't use it anymore. I just keep it because I don't want anybody else to squat upon it because it's part of my identity, but I don't tweet over there anymore. But you can follow me, which is at iRacing Today, and Chad is over at It's Chadillac.
You can email any questions, comments, those stories that you're going to be telling us about real life stuff, and the poll suggestions that you might have to feedback at iRacingTodayRadio.com. Of course, feel free to add myself and Trevor as friends on the iRacing.com members website, so you can come dodge people that stop underpacing with us. And also, you can race with us on the fun races this weekend. You know, easy way to connect to the room.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'd be a lot easier to
mouse.
find us, because if you're friends with us and you just go, oh, where are they? Oh, they're in there. Click, boom, because you just go to your little friends list. There'll be like a little wheel there. You click on that, join, you're in.
Yeah. Green
Wait,
flag.
hold on a second. I just had a thought.
Okay.
Have we discussed whether or not we're going to put a password on that room in order to prevent people who aren't fans of the show from coming in?
Yes, we are going to put a password on the show.
We should probably tell people what that is.
We should. Let's just go with Trevor for our password.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's good. Let's run with it. But I am planning to put up a post on the website, probably tomorrow, maybe Thursday, that will have like all the information, and it'll have the password. So
Okay.
it'll be Trevor.
Which is Trevor, not EROR.
Yes. No capitals or anything like that either. It'll just be plain old ordinary capitalless Trevor. But anyways, if you're not on iRacing, you should join before our fun races, because you would be able to race because you would own the content. But when you sign up, you can refer Trevor or myself in the referral box, which we would greatly appreciate if you did. Trevor is ratface@gmail.com. I'm iRacingLegend@gmail.com. But until next week, ladies and gentlemen, remember that the race is rarely won in the first turn.
But it is often lost there. And remember, everybody, go out and hug the ones that you love, and have an awesome night.